everyone. Welcome to another round of Q&A with Jim. How you going, Jim?
Yeah, I'm good.
You're good? Good to hear. Just with some normal housekeeping as normal, make sure you follow Jim on Instagram, which is Jim_Penman. I was tempted to do Jimstagram, but we did Jim_Penman. Do Twitter as well. We've got Jim Penman 2. There's already a Jim Penman, so it's Jim Penman 2. And hopefully we can get that Jim Penman account one day. And obviously his Facebook page as well, which is Jim Penman Official. If you are subscribed to those, you would have seen as well the April Fools. Let's just clarify for people, there is no Jim's Island.
Unfortunately. Yeah, my bank manager rang me up. I was specifically buying an island. I said, Derek, what was the date that it came out on?
So there's a few people actually thought it was serious.
My wife, when I got home, my wife said to me, hey, what do you mean buying an island?
Yeah, so there's a few people who thought it was serious. Maybe the finance department as well had a heart attack going on now. We're going to get all this money. So just to clarify, it wasn't. But if you subscribe to stuff with Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn with Jim and his Instagram, you'll be able to see all that type of content. We'll be doing that type of authentic content. Jim's really open to it. It's easy for us to do as well.
Authentic content, like buying islands.
Yeah, authentic content. Well, buying islands. But the one I probably mentioned was probably the stats the other day with the mowing and the cleaning, which I thought was damning right. So that's probably one that's not on here. But let's start with that. The stats there were some stats from an American type industry based for mowing and for cleaning, which came out. So the question we get a lot is, why should I pay fees? Go independent, do it yourself, etc. Right? Yeah. Well, this is a reason why you don't.
There's actually a book that you can get on the internet. You can get it through Amazon. It says basically the title is 90% of gardening contractors fail in their first year, and why and so forth. But even better than that, there's an association called the International Janitorial and Cleaning Services Association, which is a big organization of cleaning companies based in America. And their own official statistics show the chance of a new cleaning business lasting its first year is 5%. Our figures show it's around about 89% of our franchisees survived the first year, and 11% have gone. So it's quite a difference.
Yeah, and the reason why we filmed that is because I remember the current affair article, the news story came out, and a lot of the comments was, "Oh, go independent, don't pay fees, do it yourself."
That's right.
But that's a clear reason why it's better we're not pushing something here, but it's a clear reason why it's proven that it mitigates your risk completely in the first year of business if you go that route.
It doesn't totally mitigate the risk. It just reduces it a lot. Some people just won't succeed regardless, but certainly people are many times more likely to succeed with the franchise. Not necessarily us too. I mean, there's other good franchise systems around as well, but that's why it's a good model. Yeah,
and those stats back it up, right? So a few comments here. Sal John has gone, hey, Jim and Joel. Sal tunes in every week, so hi, Sal. Hader Hussein's gone, good topic. It's very good for Hader, who's the owner of the cleaning division.
Yeah, we tried to find stats for other divisions, Hader, but mowing and cleaning are the only two I could find. I looked up pesties and stuff, but they're the ones that we could find statistics on. In fact, it's worse than I thought. I used to say that the majority of independent businesses fail, but it's apparently a lot worse than that.
Yeah, it's pretty full on. Idris Mohammadi, I think, sorry if I mispronounced your name, he goes, I'm looking for a job in the weekend at an afternoon shift. I'm bricklaying apprenticeship. Is there any job for me? Well, we don't have any probably bricklaying jobs at National, but
no.
Our franchisees do employ people, and they're always looking for people depending on what you do. With bricklaying, I don't know, what maybe the paving type divisions, I don't know.
No, I don't think we don't have anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything available. Just
most of our guys, I mean, obviously our franchisees are self-employed. Sometimes they take on workers, but going into the winter is probably not the best time to be looking for a job.
Yeah.
When they start their busy period, they get so overloaded, they often need workers then.
Yeah, so we've got a few eyes tuning in now, so welcome everyone. And let us know you're here with a comment, like, or any question you have for Jim. We'll try and punch through as many as we can. John Render's gone, g'day guys. So John is a mowing franchisee, and hopefully your health's going all right, John. And Josh Williams, again, is a mowing franchisee. Hello, Jim and Joel. So thanks for tuning in, Josh. All right, we'll get to the questions here, which we got given. All right. So one which came by our Facebook during the week was from Yvonne Watson, and she goes, you inspire a lot of people, but who inspires you?
I read a lot of books, actually. I love reading books. I was reading a book by James Dyson, as an English entrepreneur, manufacturer. And anything I can get my hands on about somebody who's been in business and been successful, I love to read that. You know, personal inspiration. My pastor in my church is a great guy. He inspires me a lot in different ways, not necessarily business. But my wife inspires me. She's wonderful. So a lot of people. And I've got great people who work for me too. You know, people who are very good at things that I'm not good at, like this guy on the digital area. I mean, I'm a total nong, but Joel understands it. So I've got good people all around me.
It's a good question, Yvonne. Hopefully the answer. So Denise is tuning in from the call center. So hi, Denise. Met Denise today. Lovely lady.
Oh, I remember you named Denise.
Yeah,
quite
Denise
a few emails.
is there. Yeah, Andy Stewart's there. People ask if I would go on my own. Why would I? I get a website, call center, advertising, and brand recognition. Great point. And then Angela Anderson says, hi, team. So hi, Angela, and thank you for tuning in. And people who are tuning in now, leave us a question, comment, or like, and we'll get to it. Now, he goes, Kawaku Atta Payin has gone, Jim's got carpet cleaning franchise opportunity in Canberra. There certainly would be one there.
Yeah.
So the best way to do that, Kawaku, apologies a bit if I'm mispronouncing your name, 131546, and leave an inquiry, and the guy who runs the region will tell you what opportunities are available. Or you can go via the Jim's Carpet Cleaning or Jim's Cleaning website.
Or just jims.net.
Yeah, and you can log an inquiry via there, and the regional guy will be in contact with you, and that's the best way to go about it. And Owen Brandwood goes, JW, Jim's Dog Wash Forbes franchise here. So we've got a Jim's Dog Wash tuning in.
Yeah,
hi, how you going?
Wash. Good division, growing very fast.
So we'll get to another question here. As I said, if you've got a question, comment, leave them in there and I'll get to them. So Andrew White via Facebook goes, how do people get your attention? What impresses you in employees and franchisees and franchisors? You obviously have some franchisors and that stand out. What actually grabs your attention from that point of view?
People, because I've got nearly 4,000 franchisees, I don't watch them all the time. But obviously, if I'm talking to a franchisee, what I'll always do is check their star rating, and just see how they're going. Like the other night, a couple of nights back, I got a call from a franchisee who's been going 2 months. He's got a 4.8 star rating. But what really impressed me was this guy was doing $4,500 a week. And he said the only reason he makes so little is he has to pick up his kid from school at 2:30. And he was worried about the fact that his service wasn't good enough, and he was trying to do better. He had one complaint since he'd been with us. And I said, that's fantastic. That's phenomenal. I said, you really ought to stay in touch with me and go out. And I told this to Joel, and he said, maybe I'm in the wrong business. I should buy it.
That's correct. I was in the wrong business. He's bloody 4,500 a week.
And this has done him in going 2 months. That was remarkable. And he's already looking to put on a worker and possible split. And you know, one day he'll probably have a few people working for him, or he'll be a franchisor or something.
It's a common story, right? We had another guy, I remember I met him 6 years ago, and he started up, and I don't want to say the exact figure he's turning over, but it's a great amount because he just does the basics for him, puts a bit of hard work into it, and away he goes. So there's a lot of opportunity there.
When we look at people, we look for somebody who's got great customer service and who's making good money too. I mean, that's absolutely essential. As far as staff is concerned, I look at people who show initiative, who come up with their own ideas. One thing I noticed when Joel, who came in on a sort of entry-level job, but he was helping out with insurance, and he kept on coming up with his ideas about how to improve the website and stuff. And I wander around and I talk to staff all the time, so he kept on saying this, and you know, it was great. People are sometimes too scared to speak up, but I value somebody who's interested in. They come up with new initiatives, and they say, well, this isn't good enough. What if we did this? Or what if we expanded in that area too? That's the hardest thing to find. It's easy to find people who do their job well, and we value them. But the kind of person who can go beyond and think about it and say, okay, what could we do better? That's what I really look for.
And what about franchisors?
Well, the same thing. But with franchisors, you can look at it in terms of support, which comes out from the annual survey. So to be something like a diamond franchisor is the top thing, where you're getting almost perfect support. You know, you're helpful, you're ringing your franchisees all the time, you're incredibly responsible. And those guys have incredible businesses. They tend to grow very, very fast, like, you know, 20% per annum on average. So, and so it's a great franchisee service and also growth, and they tend to go together.
There you go. And there's a few people tuning in, so 43 eyes watching at this stage. So hello to everyone. As I said, leave us a comment, question, and we'll get to it straight away. We'll answer anything. If you've got on your mind for Jim, or give us a like to know you're here. There's a few comments here now. So Jim's mowing Bay off Plenty, Hawke's Bay, always tunes in. He says, evening, lads. Looks like a bit cooler there this evening. Yes, it is. It is a bit cooler,
not too bad. I like the cold weather.
Yeah, Jim likes it, yeah.
I would say to franchisees watching, don't be afraid to send me an email. One of the problems I have is that people don't contact me enough. It was wonderful to get this guy ring me, he just rang me, and said, can I talk to you? And he's a bit different, and I rang him back, and we had this wonderful conversation. And I'm actually going to introduce some of what he was saying in my talks to new franchisees. some of his ideas and the way he's got something over a 90% conversion rate too, which is astonishing, despite the fact that he's not cheap. So
yeah, I definitely think people don't take advantage of it enough.
Yeah, I love to talk to my franchisees. It's one of the things I don't do an awful lot in terms of running, departments of the business. One of my major jobs is to be available. So any franchisee, any franchisor with an idea or who wants help or anything at all, that's probably mainly what I spend my time on.
Yeah. So Simon Waters joined us now. I know you're interested in cleaning franchise, Simon, so give us a call.
Yeah.
Leah Cadwell has joined. So Leah obviously sits in the deck. Actually, you're sitting in Leah's chair now.
Right.
Hello, Leah. Scott Davison's gone. I see a lot of gyms mowing in the Illawarra area. Is there room for more, and how many is too many?
Well,
it's an interesting question, that one.
Yes. People often ask us that. When I had like 60 franchisees in Melbourne, people were saying, well, it's been good now, but we're now at a saturation point. We've now got something like 500. So, and the funny thing about it is we've got more unserviced leads in Melbourne by far than we did back in those days. So we don't know what the upper limit is. There are some areas like Geelong, which are really, really got a lot of guys and, excuse me, and it may be difficult to fit more in, but most of the time, actually, the more franchisees we have, the more work we have per franchisee. It's like people are surprised about this, but we've got less than 1% of the home services market. Even in mowing, we're only a fraction of the market. So in actual fact, our biggest problem is not work, it's franchisees. We just cannot find enough franchisees. 180,000 unserviced leads last year, more than 180,000. And it's getting worse every year. So the more franchises you put on in general, the more work we get.
That's a good question, Scott, though, because that does come up a bit. We always hear that, there's too many guys in our areas, but the work is there.
It's a bit like a TV ad. If you're going to put an ad on TV, and the principle any advertising person would say to you, you don't put one ad on because one ad has very little impact. But if you see ad after ad after ad after ad, you think, well, maybe I'll buy that product or we'll do whatever it is. It seems to be the same with trailers or with vans. The more you see, the more likely you are to call. So we found areas where you put one person into a suburb, like I remember Cranbourne back in the beginning, we put one guy in, you got 2 jobs in the first month. Now we've now got about 8 guys working in Cranbourne and they're all busy. So as we've got more people, we've actually got more work per franchisee.
Yeah, it's a good comment, Scott. It's a quite common point we get raised a lot. So Jonathan Gleason's joined in. He's a very switched-on dairy farmer from down in Warrnambool Way. Sean Daly's tuned in again. Hey, boys. Hey, Sean. Thanks for tuning in. David Cardillo's gone, hi, Jim and Joel. Hi, David. Sean, you do tune in every week, but I'm sure you got a question, Sean. You've asked a few different ones, which are good, so give us one and we'll get to it. Here's a question from Martin Winters. What difference has the internet, smartphones, apps, etc. made to the business compared to when Jim began?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, technology is massive. We couldn't do what we do now. One of the interesting things about gyms is we've been going 30 years and we haven't changed the fees, but we do vastly more than we used to. And one of the reasons is because the way we used to run the call center in the beginning ate up most of the fees. So these days, the call center is much, much cheaper to run. So the same resources, and because of technology, we can put into other areas. So we do all sorts of things to do with compliance and customer service and rating systems and different kinds of support and searching out better deals for our franchisees. We've got a whole department doing a massive things we couldn't afford to. We haven't raised our fees, not even 1% since we started, apart from a couple of minor things like a technology fee. And yet we can do so much more. And it's great. And we're going to see a lot more really interesting things coming up in this next year. We're developing our own program, Jim's Jobs. We're going to have a lot of really, really cool stuff in that. It's going to make it so easy to run businesses.
Yeah, it's a good question.
It's wonderful too. In the old days, trying to get a job, you had to actually ring the call center to get the job. These days, they put through your smartphone. It's changed everything. It's remarkable.
So we've got a few people tuning in now. Welcome everyone, around 45 eyes watching now, which is great. Let us know you're here with a like, a comment, or a question for Jim. We'll ask anything. Just put it down there and I'll get to it. The next one here is from, it's a different one, from Chloe McKinnon, who's one of our lovely documents and compliance officers over there.
Oh, Chloe, we really love her.
She loves animals, all right? So she's gone, what's your favourite animal? Do you have one?
I probably shouldn't say this, but I really admire rats.
Right.
Not personally liking them, but they're they're kind of animals that survive. Everybody's hand is against them, and they just keep on trying, and they never give up, and they keep on breeding, and just. I mean, I'll still kill them when they go for my chooks. But still.
I didn't expect that answer at all. I was going to expect the dog or something like that. You want to say your pet dog, your caboodle or something.
Well, if you look for a pet, I probably wouldn't say a pet rat, but rats are also great for. We do a lot of science, and rats are. Yeah. We try and treat them decently too, but rats are wonderful animals for science, and I think the kind of research that we're doing, things like curing problems of mental illness and addiction. Rats our main model, because rats are actually very similar to people in the ways that matter. So they're kind of great animals. Perhaps not the most favourite animal of most people, but still.
So it's a couple of interesting questions here. I'll get to these ones on here. I'll just run with this one first. I'll get to the comments as well above in a minute. But where's this one here? There's a good one here. Andy Stewart goes, regarding unserviced leads, what is the breakdown by division and location? Is it more regional areas?
No, the worst. Well, there's some areas we don't have anybody, like out certain areas in the countryside, but mainly it's just in the cities. We got a big demand in the cities which we can't cope with, and it's somewhat easier to find franchisees in regional areas because of the lifestyle advantages. You can live in a nice country town and with low cost of living and low housing and still have a decent job. So the prices actually that we can charge in the city a lot more. But even so, it's hard to get enough franchisees. But as to the division, the worst divisions in terms of losing jobs would be things like fencing, probably the worst. It's just something like 50% unserviced in fencing. Handyman's pretty bad.
Is that because the jobs actually, let's say if you get a fence, for example, that could be a couple, that could be a long project. Is it because of the...
Well, we think that anything that's got a lot of really hard physical work to it tends to be very high demand. The divisions that we find hardest to find work for tend to be the white-collar ones like bookkeeping and computers. I mean, we do, and most of people do make good money, but it's a lot more of a struggle. And in those kind of divisions, if you're going to do those, you need to be prepared to go out and market. Whereas if you're a fencer, you just sit back and wait for the phone to go off and almost never anything else. Mowing is generally pretty good, actually. We tend to get a lot of work in mowing.
That's a good question, that one. Stuart Rainbow's tuned in again. G'day, Jim and Joel, all tuned in again. Thanks to Stuart for tuning in every week and support.
Yeah, well, Stuart's
a massive mowing franchisor now. Mowing franchisor
just
now,
for his second region, and had a great start too. He's got 2 people on the go already, which is great.
Yeah, he's doing really well.
Stuart's actually the son of son-in-law of Jill, who runs our call centre. That's how he's come in.
There you go. Where is it here? Cameron Smith's gone, hey, Jim. Cameron Smith, I don't know if you play for Melbourne Storm, but he's gone, hey, Jim, looking in doing a Jim Skip Bins franchise in the next few months in Queensland. That's great to hear.
Right, yeah.
Caleb Templeman's tuned in again. You are late, Caleb. I expected you at 7 on the dot, but that's all right. You're here now. David McDonald's gone, is a high price rating better than a low price rating? Good question.
Well, first of all, price rating for anybody who doesn't know is a dollar sign on your thing. So lots of dollars, $3 means that you tend to get more price knockbacks. Look, we don't judge anybody based on price rating internally, and that's mainly how our things are used for. It's just an indication. So if you're, for example, very quiet for work and you're getting a lot of jobs knocked back, it's possibly indication that your $3 signs might show that you should moderate your price. On the other hand, if you've got lots and lots of work and you're only getting a $1 rating, well, maybe you should be raising your price. So it's a kind of a guide. Down the track a bit, when Jim's Plus is working and we're getting a lot of more work from the general public, we will display these ratings.
Yeah,
it kind of depends. If you've got a high price rating, you may get less leads because somebody will look at you and say, okay, you got 4.7 stars, but you're expensive, so I won't use you. On the other hand, if it's the kind of person that says, hey, I don't mind somebody expensive, I just want somebody great, they're probably more likely to get you. So you might get fewer leads, but better quality leads, because people who are prepared to pay more is really what you want. You don't want the person who's going to ring to 6 people and get the cheapest price, do you? You want somebody who says, if you're a good operator, somebody who says, hey, I just want great work, and I don't mind paying good money for it.
It's a good question, and hopefully that answers your question from Jim. I'll run through a few comments here. As I said, there's a few tuning in now. Just give us a comment, like, or a question. I'll get to it as much as we can. I'll run through the comments here, then another good question up here, actually, which you like. He goes, Caleb Templeman's gone, where can I get that Jim's Group jacket, Jim? The one you're wearing.
This one here.
Yes.
We've got some, I haven't got jackets, we've got T-shirts actually.
We've got T-shirts, yeah.
The only problem, we don't want people to get confused and think that somebody's going to, you know, wear our uniform and they can go out and be a franchisee, obviously.
Charles is a younger fellow, but he tunes in every week. He's a great support.
But we've got shirts and caps coming up. And
we do, yeah. So announcement on that. So I'm just waiting for the quote and for the invoice so I can order it. But we're going to get around 300 pieces of merch. So a bunch of shirts, hats, and bucket hats. One will be Jim's group. Well, Jim's will be the thing. Jim's seen the new logo, which we won't say anything about yet, but it's going to be on that, and it'll be purchased for the website. Probably 3 weeks is a realistic 3 to 4 weeks. Hopefully we can get
the T-shirt I want, we haven't got in the beginning, is something like one of those travel ones. You know, my father bought a Jim's Mowing franchise, and all I got was this lousy shirt. That kind of idea.
Yeah, stuff like that. But we'll have some merch soon. Yeah. So a few comments here. So David McDonald's gone. I always say hi to the dog before the customer. It settles them down and creates a good rapport. So David, I think he's a dog franchisee, obviously.
That is true. And dog wash customers typically came more for their dogs than their children.
Correct. Very correct. It's a good one to get into.
Yeah. John, you want to please the mother, be nice to her kid. Don't worry about her.
That's true.
Same principle.
John Ideem is tuned again, cleaning franchisee. Good evening, gentlemen. Hi, John. Martin Gleason's tuned in again. He's made a good comeback on the weekend, so thanks, Martin, for tuning in again. Here's another question. This is a good one from Ross Morgan. I'm a franchisee with a different brand. Sorry, Jim, I did consider Jim's Mobile Cafe. Should franchisees be worried about franchising in Australia? It's a very good timed question, that one.
Yeah, they should. They absolutely should. The stories that we hear being inside the industry are absolutely horrifying. The way people get ripped off blind. And it doesn't mean to say you should always buy gyms either. What you should do if you're interested in a franchise is do your homework. And that way get a list of all the franchisees in the franchise and ring as many as you possibly can and ask them confidentiality what it's like. And if they don't give you a good report, then do not buy that business, no matter how slick a sales pitch you get. I can tell you, even within gyms, most of our franchisors are good, some are brilliant, and there's a few, maybe 10 or 12 out of 300 odd that I would not buy a franchise from because the support is not good enough. And that's being pretty blunt about it. So even if you're buying from us, you've got to check it out. And I do think the law is pathetically weak in the way that it protects franchisees. It's a very unfair relationship. We have in gyms a whole lot of things, which I don't want to say too much because a lot of people here are franchisees, but we're the only franchise system in the world that allows you to actually vote out your franchisor, that allows you to walk away from the business, pay a few $1,000s if you're not happy. So we've given our franchisees a lot of powers that nobody else does to make sure we have to treat them well. And that's what should happen nationally. I'm actually in the process of starting to write a book on this topic, and we're going to be interviewing. In fact, tomorrow morning, I'm talking to somebody who's the head of the Australian Franchisees Association, and he's got some really terrible stories to tell. And we're going to actually find out from him what's been going on and talk to people, and then do a book that actually exposes what's wrong with this industry. It's a brilliant industry. It really is. And the stats we talked about at the beginning, how we were saying that the cleaning businesses of independents, 95% fail in the first year. We fell 11%. It's an incredibly good system if it's well done, but unfortunately, all too often, it's not well done.
No, that's a great point, Jim. And keep your eye out for that. That'll be very interesting when it comes out. Sean Daly's gone, I'll wear your top just because you rock. I'm trying to interpret those emojis there. Thanks, Sean. Caleb's gone, okay, that's fair enough. People could impersonate the people working at Jim's Group, etc. So you folks would need to make it a bit different. That's very true, Caleb. John Ideem has gone with a question here. Hey, guys, talking about pricing, we're looking to increase our prices across our regular customer base and one of our clients. Jim, what do you consider to be a reasonable percentage increase? Good question.
Well, 10%.
10%?
Up 10%,
right.
Yeah. Look, John, if you're a good operator and your conversion rate is high and you've got plenty of work, 10% pay rise, you will find, my experience is that you will get very few knockbacks if they're happy with you. So if you're busy, if people like you, put on 10%. Look, place it this way, if you're doing a lawn for, say, $50, okay, it's maybe done on average every 3 weeks, you're going to be charging $55. Now, that's like $1.70 a week. What can you buy for $1.70? But from your point of view, that's an extra, whatever it is, $10,000, $15,000 a year. That's a big, big difference. So I think a lot of our franchisees, possibly even most of them, are too cheap because most of our franchisees are good and most of them are busy. And if you're flat out and busy, knocking back work from the office, and that's most people, then why not add 10% and see how you go? Try it with the new customers first and then go through your regulars. Absolutely recommend it.
Hope that answers the question, John. It's a good one. So we've got 51 people tuning in now. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know you're here with a comment, like, or a question. I'll try and run through as many as more as I can. Stephanie Paddock's gone, hey, Jim and Joel, great work. So Stephanie Paddock runs our termite and pest control division with Linton. So thanks for tuning in, Stephanie. I'll read out one question here, then I'll get to John Renders on there. So Michael Casey via Facebook's gone, what is your favourite pastime? I think we've covered this a couple of times, but you've got a couple, I would say. What's your favourite one? What you like doing ideally?
Oh, there's so many things I like doing. I wouldn't miss out anything. I love spending time with my family. I've just been out to dinner with my family now, which is fantastic. I love having a date with my wife. I love... You're
still romantic, Jim, aren't you? Go on dates regularly, yeah?
I adore my wife. Anybody knows Lee, she's absolutely wonderful. So just spending time with her. We have a sauna last night, which was fantastic.
Do you buy flowers still? Do you get the flowers and chocolates just out of the blue, or
no?
Any surprises like that?
I don't want to put her on weight. She's got a lovely figure. Let's keep on that one. I enjoy gardening. I really enjoy gardening. I've got a farm not too far from here. I go up there and just work physically on the farm out in the open air. I love that. I love listening to audio books about really interesting one. I'm listening to one now about misbehaving. It's about economics and stuff. There's so many things I really enjoy doing.
You do consume a large amount of audiobooks. How many do you consume a week? Or do you listen to maybe one a week? Or
yeah, probably on average, I probably listen to one audiobook a week. Plus, I also read stuff and this kind of thing. And I love going to church. So probably if you ask my absolute favourite time of week, it'd be in church on Sunday morning with my wife beside me, and it's just wonderful. So life is very good. I'm a very, very lucky man.
So there's an answer to your question, Michael. Now, I just want to do my Christopher's, then I'll get back to John. So Christopher Manning's gone, what is your biggest pet peeve? That's a new one. We haven't had that one before. What's your biggest pet peeve?
People who won't listen, people who won't learn from their mistakes, who'll always blame somebody else for anything going wrong. It's very frustrating because you can see somebody failing and they won't listen. Somebody who's getting repeated complaints and they're always in the right. The customer's always wrong. The system's wrong. Nothing they do, they just won't change.
Responsibility.
And it hurts me because I can see them failing, and that's the thing that's most painful of all. So it's the attitude. I think it's so important to be self-critical. You've got to look at yourself all the time and say, what could I be doing better? How could I improve? And that's a brilliant attitude. Like this guy who rang me the other night, he was so well, but he was so concerned to do better still. And I just love that guy. He's just fantastic. And I suppose you're watching Shane, but he's a great guy, and it really inspired me. But when I see the opposite, somebody who just won't listen, they won't learn. They won't learn from their mistakes. They won't learn from other people. It's very upsetting.
So that's a good answer, Jim. So I'll go on through the thing. Danny O'Donnell's joined. Good farming boy. Caleb Templeman's gone, I shared it with friends. Thanks, Caleb. John Idemus said, excellent. Thanks, Jim, in response to your answer. Yeah. Sean Daly's gone, Jim's church, ? Maybe start up your own church of Jim. I remember seeing that one of the memes that said the one true church of Jim, and it had the church sign there.
The one true church is Jesus Christ. Sorry, I just don't be too religious, but I'm a Christian.
I do see a few comments when we look at the social stuff saying Jim's a god and all this sort of stuff. So, yeah, you never know. Josh Palea of Itzkara tuned in again. Better late than never. Hi, Jim and Joel. Hi, Josh. Now, this is an interesting one from David Mansard. Just backing up to your comment about the ability to vote out a franchisor or how they are rated off the surveys. Is there another avenue you can go through if your franchisor isn't very good and never passes on information, but then won't listen when you try and speak to them about it?
Yeah, there is. Send me an email. Just get in contact with me and I'll talk about it and see what can be done. And I'll give you some advice. Most vote outs happen because of that, but there's other things we can do. Sometimes when a franchisee complains to me, in fact, very often it's because they're doing the wrong thing, not the franchisor. But sometimes franchisors just aren't doing the right thing, and sometimes they don't know. They need to be prodded. They need to be pushed. But bear in mind, I will keep it confidential if you ask me to. But usually what I try and do is to get to the source of it and go to the franchisor and say, look, you're letting your people down. But our system with the survey, which is coming out shortly, it's only early June, so it's 2 months away. That's a very big thing. If your franchisor is not going to do well in that.
So your answer, David, I reckon you just email Jim.
But there's many different options. You could talk to me about it. I might talk to you about other options. You might be close to the border and maybe move to a different franchisor as a possibility. Or maybe I'll ask you, is this widespread? What do your fellow franchisees think about it? Is it something to have a vote out? Because the way vote outs work with us, it's not like an all or nothing. What we do is we send out a referendum. If I get a few people who say they've got a problem, we send out a referendum which is confidential, and we ask people what they think. Now, if the majority says we're not happy, then we tell the franchisor, and they've got 3 months to pick up their game. And quite often what they'll do then is they'll say, oh, this is a real shock to them, and they'll start to listen. They'll start to do the things they're supposed to do. And then when 3 months comes, it works fine for them. So it's kind of, there's a lot of things we can do to help you. The strange thing about it, though, is sometimes if a franchisor is technically doing the right thing, but they're just not being very helpful or being very nice, actually franchisees have more power than I do, which sounds very strange, but under the way our contracts work, that's absolutely the case.
So that's a good answer to you. Hopefully, Dave, that answers your question, and you can email Jim through.
It's not very common. Most of our franchisors do give very good support, especially these days, much more than they did in the past because of things like surveys and so forth. But I make a point of getting to know as many franchisees as possible during training. And the reason I do that, which is next week we've got training on, and I'll go and have lunch and dinner with them whenever I can. And the reason for that is because I want them, if anybody's got a problem, to contact me when they need to. And the hardest thing is getting people to do that, because they always think I'm too busy, I'm too exalted, I'm too high up or something, and it's not true.
They think he's a god, right? So
yeah, and that's a very bad idea. I love to hear from my franchisees. I get a lot of enormously good ideas and important feedback from my franchisees. And the biggest frustration is when people don't call me when they should.
That's true. John Render's gone, have you thought about going into GPS servicing so the call goes to the closest at hand? Save on driving around, to quote. Also could help with the working in your territory.
Yeah, we could do that. The thing of it is, though, territory has to be priority. If you get in our contracts, if you're available for work in territory, you must get it. But the other point about that is, okay, put it this way. Let's say you have two people, one of whom, and the work is nearer to the other person's territory. This person could get so much more work. They could get getting 5 jobs, and this person could be getting 1, and they're both paying the same advertising. So what the system tries to do, other things being equal, it'll look for the closest person, but apart from that, it'll look for who's had the least work over the past few days. So we try and treat franchisees evenly as much as possible.
So Nick Kringle's gone here, Jim's Space Expeditions. I don't know if he's going to compete with Tesla soon. We do one thing I think quite well, and obviously we could do better, and that is services. Where somebody calls us or books for somebody to go out and give us service, that is what we do well. And even though it sounds like we do everything, like 52 different divisions, the fact of the matter is that from our point of view, they're very, very similar. Doesn't matter whether it's computer services or bookkeeping or fencing or whatever, they're all very much the same thing. Manufacturing is different, site-based franchises are different, and we just don't go into that kind of stuff. So here's a follow-up comment from Dave, who was the one who asked the franchisor question. He goes, thanks, Jim, in saying that I'm really happy with being in the group and I love my business.
That's great, Dave, thanks.
Thanks for leaving that comment and taking the time to do that.
Which most franchisees feel. Sometimes we focus a lot on the very small minority who aren't happy, but of course we want everybody to be happy, so yeah.
So Lisa McKinnon has gone here. Angela Helmore deserves a raise before her wedding. Angie's the one who works behind us, actually.
Yeah, Angie's fantastic.
Angie's
She's great. Yeah, and Joel complained, I keep on giving everything to her, and he said, don't give it to Angie. And I just said, well, if I give it to her, she always does it so well.
That's true.
So she says, give it to somebody else. So I'm trying that now.
So maybe, Lisa, you never know. You never know. There's a few people tuning in still, which is great. Let us know you're here with a like, a comment, or a share. We'll keep going real quickly. So Dave, Nick Kringle's gone here. Jim, give me a job. Probably not the best way to go about it, leaving the comments. I reckon if you send through a resume or something, or if you're in the area.
Yeah, it's difficult, Nick.
Yeah.
We're a franchise organisation. If I could employ people successfully to do all these 180,000 unserviced leads, I would, but it's very difficult to give Jim-style service when you employ people direct. That's why franchising works so well, because the person going there owns the business, and that's the owner's interest that makes the system work so well.
So Rob Duncanson's gone here, going for a ride in Bjorn's truck in Ballarat tomorrow for skip bins. So must be a prospect, I would say, maybe, Rob. So we hope that goes well with Bjorn. Shane Payton's gone, good advice, Jim. Always trying to do better. Pricing is the hardest thing to conquer in the pest side of things. I have Jim's pest in Hall's Head. Loving the work, got me out of the mines, hanging in there. Cheers.
Yeah, good on you. That's great.
Great to hear.
Look, we're not a. I've never been a fan of the cheapest chips model. We believe in great service and good pricing. Now, in the beginning, you may have to moderate your prices, but as you get busier and more successful and a better reputation, you put your prices up. That's the way it's supposed to be done. And I would not consider any franchise system where you can't be shown that it's possible for an ordinary person to make at least $60 an hour with proper practice. That's what we aim at. If you can't make $60 an hour, what are you doing in business?
So no, I'll go from one of the questions that are left here. So Angela via Facebook went, do you get to spend much time with your family? I know you mentioned your family is one of your favorite.
Yeah, a lot actually. And that's one of the great things about my particular job. Like I drove my kids to school this morning, went and had dinner with them out at the restaurant. Now I'll probably be doing emails until 10 o'clock tonight, but I don't, no other success can compensate for failure in the home. And I've always believed in that. And that's one of the reasons too why I think franchising is often such a great option because, I mean, I'll give you an example. This guy, Shane, I was talking about before, he was actually in at a high level executive position before because he's a very cluey guy. And he said, it was good money and it's probably equivalent to what he's making now, but he was traveling like 100 hours a month and he hardly ever saw his kids. And he said, it's just so wonderful that he can pick up his kid from school every day at 2:30. What other job could you make a great living in doing that? And it's the same with myself. You know, I can work weekends. I'll work into the evening. I can start early in the morning. I work pretty strange hours. But when I want to spend time with my kids and my family, I can.
It helps living next door as well to the workplace.
That's also good. I hate commuting. I really test commuting. Yeah.
We always get a lot of requests for gyms to do interstate conferences and stuff, but yeah, it's not the preference. I'll run through a couple more here. Thanks for tuning in. 50 people are tuning in now still, which is great. Leave a comment or a like or a question, and we'll get to it this week or next week, depending on whether we do it next week. Mick has Yang Wu via Facebook went, what is Jim's most achieving moment in life? Do you have like a one moment in your life which you're the most proud of? I guess is the question.
My children, I guess, really.
So you got 10 or 11.
Well, I count 10 basically, yeah. 10. But yeah, my kids are the greatest thing. I just don't think, and my wife, you know, if you look at the one most important single moment of my life is the time I met my wife, which is actually 18 years ago, come up the 20th this month. And we're going to go back to the railway station, which is Hughesdale railway station where we first met and celebrate, which we do every year because that was such an amazing thing.
You do it every year?
Every year we go back to the railway station where we met and we reenact. Actually, if we can, we reenact our meeting. They've changed the station now, so I don't know about that. But that's...
So Jim's a romantic there. You big romantic. I didn't know that.
Oh, look, there's nothing more important than your close relationship. Your family, your partner. That's to me, that's number one.
That's very important. There's a lot. 56 people were in there, so it's great to see you here. Thanks for tuning in. I'll run through some comments here. Sean Daly's gone, does anyone builders that might run into you ask if you have, or the Gyms Group do 2-plank scaffold? So I know Sean's right into his scaffolding. We don't have any scaffolding at all, do we? So
we've looked at gym scaffolding actually. It's one we should do. The nice thing about a lot of these businesses is that they complement each other. So if you get carpet cleaning and cleaning, or trees and mowing, or building inspections and pest control. So actually, in fact, divisions that are complementary are very good for us. So yeah, scaffolding, who knows? There might be somebody watching who's comes to us about gym scaffolding. But what we're looking for is somebody who's in the industry and knows how to make it work and knows how to find the work and make money out of it. And then we say, okay, we'll give you the Gym's brand and we'll make it nationwide. That's kind of the way it works.
That's it. So I think Lally Maddox has gone happy anniversary for the 20th, which is nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
Xavier Clark's gone, how do you build your client base substantially? Well, I guess you can relate it back to what you did or what you recommend now. So how does someone build their client base substantially?
Great service is really the very simple answer to this. If your service is good enough, people will beat a path to your door. I never had any problem with finding clients, not ever. I started full-time in 1982 and it was in a drought and every lawyer in Melbourne died and I was still flat out. I just gave brilliant service, that's all. And I got recommendations and I got regular clients. People from next door came and asked me and stuff. And I've never found it difficult to get clients, but that's a whole lot of different things too. It's not just the quality of the work you do. It's things like when you get the original lead, how quickly you get back. There's a massive difference. If you get back after 1 minute and after you get back after 1 day, you're about 100 times more likely to get the job, and it impresses people. And presenting well when you go and see them and just looking the part, wearing a uniform, regardless of whether you're franchised or not. You should always have a uniform. And then if you're going to give a quote, get back promptly with the quote, follow it up. If you do phone a client and you can't get through, you send a text to say, hey, I tried to reach you and please give me a call back and try again. So it's just bowl people over with great service. As far as marketing is concerned, these days it's mostly online. If you're in business for yourself, then something like Google My Business, you got to get into that, and just look after clients well. Believe there is a tremendous hunger out there for great service. There really is. There's far more people wanting great service than there are people able to provide it.
It's very true. It's a good question, Xavier. Thanks for tuning in as well. Jamie Byard's gone here. I'll keep my eye out for you, Jim. Our Jim's real estate office is directly opposite. I'll set a romantic table for you both.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Nice plug for Jim's real estate. Let me just run through here. I've got 2 more questions on here, which I'll go. Just to close that one, Sean, separate note, how's the Jim's Island going? Well, if there is an island that you want someone to do a sponsorship or a rename, I guess we can do a Jim's Island. But
you never know. Actually, I asked a whole lot of staff members for an idea on April Fool jokes, and that one of our Peter in IT came up with that one. So
yeah, it was a good one.
That was good.
That was really well. So Angela via Facebook's gone. Sorry, not that one. Which one here? Leah via Facebook has gone. What traits does Jim believe is required to be successful in franchising, either on tools or support-wise?
People who are good at franchising tend to have an absolute passion for clients that goes beyond the monetary consideration. They just want to do a good job. They hate to let people down. And I've done so many wrong things in my business. I mean, you couldn't even begin to talk about them. But I've always had a passion for clients. It just offends me to see anything less than perfect. And within that, you've got to look at all the time at what you're doing and how you can make it better. Every day of my business career, and I mean this for decades, I've always asked myself the same question: how can I do this better? And that's today. That's when I was mowing lawns. Even when I was mowing lawns 15 years, I was still working out how to save a half second going around a tree. How can I make the job that much better, that much quicker, that much better? You've got to be relentlessly self-critical, which is why when I was talking about pet peeves before, those who were on that time, it's the opposite. The attitude that says anything that goes wrong is someone else's fault. It's the attitude that says it's my fault. Like this wonderful guy Shane that I've mentioned before. He's incredibly self-critical. He's doing amazingly well, but his whole concern is how can I improve? And there was one complaint, and he said, I made that mistake. I won't make it again. I mean, that's the perfect attitude to have, and it's really astonishing. It almost doesn't matter where you start from, and that's the great thing about it. You don't have to have a heap of money or be some sort of a tech genius. You don't have to be particularly brilliant. You just have to start somewhere and then say, how can I do it better, and keep on working to improve and to improve and to improve, and listen to everybody that you can and learn your lessons, and never be too proud not to admit you've made a mistake, and just keep on learning. It doesn't matter where you start from. Eventually you'll be as successful as you want to be. It's
a great question and a good answer. So Ethan Schuster's gone, hi Jim, my sister Courtney arranged for you to give a book signed by you. I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for the book. I was extremely happy to receive your book. I remember your sister Courtney contacted Jim via his Instagram, which is Jim_Penman. It's not Jimstagram. Might change it that day, but it's Jim_Penman, and we sent Courtney out a signed book, which was one of these. So we do get some requests from time to time, and we send them out because it's great to spread the message on. And if anyone is interested in the story, we're happy to do it. We do have the audiobook version of this now. It's not on the website yet, but we'll be making it available to franchisees and franchisors. It'll be uploaded on Audible as well. So there will be an audiobook version, which was voiced. We heard it the other day, which is really well done. And we'll have that up there available soon as well. So it's audio.
The books are great, been great for us because it talks about, it's my story, but it talks about the beliefs behind it. And it's interesting, the people who read that book and say, wow, I love this attitude, I love this way of thinking, and come to us and buy because of it. And they turn out to be the absolute best of our people because they really have it in their heart that, they love the service ethos.
Yeah.
Or the ethos of service to franchisees, which is very mixed in with us.
And the franchisee, sorry to interrupt you, but the franchisee you were talking about, Shane, has tuned in. And he says, thanks for the shout out, Shane Baggett, right?
Oh, Shane, you're there. Yeah. I've been talking about you all evening, Shane. That was a brilliant conversation. That I will definitely talk about it next week too. I won't mention your name there, but it was inspiration. I mean, I love to hear from it really made my week. Honestly, if I had at one point of the whole week that was my high point, that was talking to Shane, which was I think it was Monday night.
It was a Monday night.
Yeah.
That's awesome to hear. And that's what probably made me prompt to getting into a mowing franchise when I saw that, what he was doing. Oh, the money, the figure, what you quoted.
Yeah.
Not too bad. We're doing really well, Shane. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks everyone who's tuned in. We've had a few viewers tonight. I'll leave with one more question. If you do have a question, comment, or anything, leave it in here. I'll bank it up for next week, and we'll go again. So Mick here via Facebook's gone, what does Jim enjoy most about creating gyms? What do you enjoy most? What has this business provided to you that you've enjoyed the most so far, do you reckon?
It's really fun and creative. I don't have a lot of skills actually, but one thing I am is I've got a very creative kind of mind. I'm always love thinking about new and better ways to do things, like this whole business with Gyms Plus we're working on now, and working out better ways to get people involved with this and those kind of things. And every day is just ideas and seeing them come to it. It's like the most complicated, fascinating computer game you could possibly imagine, but you get paid for it. I mean, that's what a business is like, and I've always loved that aspect. And the other thing I enjoy too is I love seeing franchisees successful. I think when somebody tells me that this was such a great thing and I wish I'd done it years ago, and I just enjoying it so much, and my family life is better, and not commuting, and that gives me a buzz beyond anything. If I get a conversation like that, it really is the high point of my week. And you've got to love what you do, and I love what I do. It's great. It's great.
That's as you can tell by the way Jim talks about his enthusiasm. So one comment here I'll read out, then we'll end it up there. So Tony Gregg is from New Zealand. He's a Jim's Building Inspections franchisor. I know he's the Jim's Building Inspection.
Great division, that one. That's really going well.
Really nice man. He goes, hey team, the video content, including the live feeds, are fantastic. I've shared it with a few business group members and friends, great value, and it's all for free.
It is too.
It is. The only thing it costs us is time. And as I said, if you've got any ideas for content and want us to do it, keep doing it. Let us know in the comments and the feed. And as Jim's very happy with his time to give it weekly, if that's the case, it is. If it drops off a bit, we might reevaluate it to do it once a month. However, the more you let us know, the more value you get out of it, and you got to let us know.
We are supposed to hold this for half an hour, So
that's we've gone way too many because there's a lot of questions. We've gone for 45 minutes, but we'll leave it there. Yeah. So thanks everyone tuning in. I'll just let you know what's happening with Gym Script tomorrow. So Founder is a massive young entrepreneurs magazine. They have a lot of digital content. I think they've got 1.6 million followers on Instagram, 800,000 plus followers on Facebook. I reached out to them a while ago, because they're a young entrepreneur magazine. I said, well, look, do you want to have an interview with one of Australia's most well-known entrepreneurs? And they said, yes. So they're coming out tomorrow to film Jim with an interview. So that'll be Founder, which will be pushed out hopefully. And hopefully Jim gets his face on the cover and we can get that as well. But Jim will be busy filming that interview tomorrow with Nathan Chan and his team from Founder. Thanks again to everyone for tuning in. If you're not following Jim on Instagram, it's at Jim_Penman and all the Jim Script stuff. Excuse me. Twitter at Jim Penman 2 and Facebook Jim Penman Official.
Yep.
Okay, I'll leave it. My voice is done.
See you next week.
All right, see you guys.